By the time anyone noticed the bridge, the friendship was already broken. On one side of the narrow river stood Eli, hands buried in his pockets, pretending to check something on his phone. On the other side stood Noah, staring down at the water like it had done something wrong. Neither of them looked at the other. That job belonged to the old wooden footbridge between them, and even it couldn't do it anymore. Where there had once been a simple, sturdy crossing, there were now missing planks, sagging ropes, and gaps wide enough to fall through. The bridge groaned whenever the wind pushed against it, as if it remembered what it used to be. People in town didn't think much about it. They just took the longer path around the river, walking the extra minutes without asking why the shortest route had been abandoned. Eli knew why. So did Noah. They had built that bridge together, one shaky board at a time, and without saying a word, they had let it fall apart the same way they had let each other go. Years earlier, the river had been more of a playground than a border. Back then, Eli and Noah were smaller, their arguments shorter, and their laughter louder. They spent entire summers throwing stones into the water, daring each other to jump across where it narrowed, and dreaming up impossible projects. One afternoon, sitting on the grass with their feet just above the current, Noah had said,
"We should build a bridge, a real one, right here."
Eli's eyes lit up.
A bridge? Just for us?
They raided backyards for off-cut planks, borrowed rope from Noah's uncle's shed, and collected bent nails that no one wanted. Under the watchful, amused eye of the river, they hammered, tied, slipped, and tried again. They argued about how wide it should be. They disagreed on whether they should add a railing. They dropped more nails into the water than they used. But every evening, they left a little more wood in place than they had found there. The day they finally tested it, the boards were a little crooked, and the rope was far from straight. Still, when they stepped onto it, side by side, the bridge held. The planks creaked, the ropes pulled tight, but it didn't break. They met in the very middle, grinning like they'd built something towering and grand.
"Promise we always meet here,
Noah said, resting his hands on the rough wood.
even if we're mad."
Even if we're really mad.
Eli agreed. They spat on their palms like they'd seen in movies and shook hands over the river. The bridge wasn't perfect, but to them, it was enough. It was theirs. Growing up doesn't happen all at once. Sometimes it's just one moment that doesn't feel as harmless as the moments before. By the time they were in their early teens, Eli and Noah still shared the bridge, but now they also shared classrooms, group chats, and other people's opinions. They joined the same school club, worked on the same project, laughed at the same jokes, until the day the joke was Eli. It happened in a crowded hallway after practice. Eli had told Noah something small but personal the week before, trusting him the way you trust someone you've built a bridge with. Now he heard his words coming back to him, in Noah's voice, retold to a couple of other kids who thought it was funny. They laughed. Noah laughed too, a little too loudly, pretending it wasn't a big deal. It felt big to Eli. His cheeks burned, his chest tightened. For a second, everything in the hallway went quiet except the sound of that laugh. The look Eli gave Noah from across the crowd wasn't confused, it was hurt. When the others drifted away, Eli walked straight up to him.
Was that supposed to be a joke?
He asked, voice low. Noah shifted his bag higher on his shoulder.
"Relax, it was just a story. They don't even know you like that."
That's the point.
Eli said.
They shouldn't know it at all.
Noah scoffed, more defensive than cruel.
"You're being dramatic."
Something inside Eli hardened.
If that's how you talk when I'm not there,
He said.
maybe we're not really friends.
Noah's jaw clenched.
"Maybe we're not."
They turned away from each other, both secretly certain the other one would come back and apologize first. Neither did. There was no official announcement. No one declared the friendship over out loud, but people noticed anyway. In class, Eli took a seat near the window. Noah chose the opposite side of the room. The space between them, once full of whispered jokes and shared notes, stayed empty. At lunch, friends shifted like pieces on a board. Some sat with Eli, trying to ignore the way he went quiet whenever Noah walked past. Others stuck to Noah, pretending the jokes felt the same without the old echo of Eli's laughter. No one crossed from one side to the other. No one dared to say, "This is stupid. Talk to each other." Pride has a way of making simple things feel impossible. Eli told himself he didn't care. He filled his afternoons with other people, other conversations, other plans. If anyone asked, he just shrugged and said,
We grew apart. It happens.
but every time he passed an inside joke they used to share, or a spot in the hallway where they used to stand, something small inside him flinched. He just refused to let it show. It's easy to keep your distance in person. It's even easier when a screen is involved. At first, the posts were vague. A quote about fake friends, a meme about some people who talk behind your back. Each boy convinced the other was starting it. Each liked and shared things that scratched at the same wound. Friends saw, guessed, whispered. Then one day, Noah posted something that went too far. A photo from an old group hangout, captioned with a comment that didn't use Eli's name, but didn't need to. A few people laughed, a few added their own remarks. No one stepped in. That night, in the dim blue glow of his room, Eli stared at the screen. He read the caption once, then again, each time the words cutting a little deeper. His thumbs hovered over the keyboard, ready to spit back something sharp enough to hurt. He typed a reply, deleted it, typed another, deleted that one too. Finally, he locked the phone, tossed it onto the bed, and lay there in the dark, jaw clenched, eyes wide open. He didn't forgive. He didn't forget. He just added another unseen brick to the wall between them. The river kept flowing, with or without them. The little footbridge still stood for a while, even when Eli stopped trusting the person who had built it with him. His route home used to be simple: cut through the park, cross the bridge, and be at his door in minutes. Now, if he saw the park entrance, he'd tighten his backpack straps, look away, and choose the long sidewalk along the road instead. Sometimes, from the corner of his eye, he'd glimpse Noah on the far side, also headed home, also avoiding the bridge. Two boys, two paths, both circling the same river just so they wouldn't have to meet in the middle. One afternoon, anger followed him all the way home. Every step felt like a replay of old conversations, old laughs, old promises. When he reached the edge of the park, he turned in without thinking. His feet led him down the familiar path until he was standing at the start of the bridge they'd once been proud of. Up close, the boards looked more tired than he remembered. The rope had frayed in places. A nail stuck out at a crooked angle. He thought of the post, of the hallway, of Noah's laugh. Before he could think better of it, he swung his foot and kicked one of the loose planks. The board cracked with a sharp, satisfying sound. Part of it dipped toward the water, only barely hanging on. Eli felt a jolt of something. Not victory, not exactly relief, just less. He turned away and walked home the long way, telling himself it was just a piece of wood and it didn't matter. Rain came that week, then more wind, then leaves and debris piling up. The bridge took every storm alone. With no one tightening its ropes or replacing its boards, it gave up a little more each day. People in town started saying it was unsafe. They stopped bringing their kids to that part of the river. The shortest path to the other side slowly disappeared from everyone's routine. The bridge was still there, but like the friendship that built it, it was only a memory of what it used to be. It wasn't a dramatic disaster, at least not the kind that makes the news. It was just one of those spring storms that seems to arrive from nowhere and soak everything it touches. The river swelled, muddy and fast. The low path around it turned into a slick ribbon of mud. Branches floated, trash tumbled past, and the air smelled sharp and electric. Eli had stayed late at school working on a group project. By the time he stepped outside, gray clouds had already swallowed most of the sky. He pulled up his hood and started the familiar route home along the road. But halfway there, flashing emergency tape blocked the sidewalk. A fallen tree leaned across power lines, crew trucks and warning signs, forcing pedestrians to turn back. He sighed, heart sinking, and realized he only had one other option if he wanted to get home before dark: the park, the river, the broken bridge. He hesitated at the park gate, rain tapping on his shoulders. Then he cut through the wet grass, sneakers splashing, breath coming in short clouds. When he reached the clearing by the river, he wasn't alone. On the opposite bank, soaked and struggling with a heavy box full of sandbags, was Noah. His shoes slipped in the mud as he tried to carry the load toward the flooded side street where his family lived. The long way around the river was nearly impassable now, water pooling across the usual path. He stopped, chest heaving, and looked up. For the first time in what felt like years, their eyes met, with no one else in between. Between them, the bridge sagged, half broken, shuddering whenever the wind pushed at it. Eli's first instinct was sharp and simple: turn around, go home, this isn't your problem. But the storm didn't care about old arguments. The river didn't care who had posted what. Only Eli did. And for the first time, he wondered if that was the real problem. There was an old maintenance shed near the edge of the park, a leftover from a community cleanup project a couple of summers back. Inside, the town had left a few forgotten items: spare boards, some rope, a rusted toolbox no one cared about. Eli had helped carry some of it here once, back when he and Noah joined volunteer days without thinking too hard about what they were fixing. Now, he jogged over to the shed and yanked the door open. The smell of damp wood and metal greeted him. He grabbed the straightest planks he could see, a length of rope that still felt solid, and a handful of nails. When he turned back toward the river, Noah was watching him, rain dripping from his hair.
What are you doing?
Noah called across, voice raised over the sound of the water. Eli's heart hammered against his ribs. Every part of his pride begged him to say something cool, something cutting. Instead, he swallowed and said,
I'm tired of walking the long way around.
He stepped onto the first board of the broken bridge. It wobbled. His stomach lurched, but it held. Carefully, he knelt and started replacing the plank he'd once kicked, fingers numb from the cold rain and from the realization of what he was really doing. At first, Noah just stood there, box at his feet, caught somewhere between suspicion and surprise.
So you're fixing it now?
He shouted. Eli hammered in a nail that squealed against the wet wood.
Someone should have fixed it a long time ago.
He said.
I just didn't want it to be me.
Noah was quiet for a few heartbeats. The river roared between them. Then he set the box down and disappeared from view for a moment. When he came back, he was carrying another plank he'd found on his side of the river. Without another word, he crouched at the opposite end of the bridge and started tying fresh rope around a leaning post. They worked in the rain, each on their own side, the gap between them slowly shrinking plank by plank.
The storm didn't stop, but it softened to a steady drizzle, as if the sky had decided to listen. Eli's hands were shaking from more than the cold now. Every time he reached for a new board, he had to step a little farther out over the moving water. The bridge creaked under their combined weight, complaining about years of neglect.
Pass me that nail box.
Noah said finally, nodding toward the center. Eli slid it across a stable board. Their fingers brushed for half a second.
Thanks.
Noah muttered. They worked in silence for a while, hammers tapping, ropes tightening, old knots cut away and replaced. Then, as Eli leaned in to secure a crossbeam, he heard his own voice break the quiet before he could stop it.
I was angry,
he said. The words just dropped there, between the river and the rain. Across from him, Noah paused, one hand still on the rope.
Yeah,
Noah said softly.
me too.
Eli drove another nail in, the sound sharp and clean.
Shouldn't have posted that stuff.
He said, eyes fixed on the board.
I know.
Noah answered.
I don't know what I thought. I was trying to prove I didn't care as much as I did.
Eli let out a breath he wasn't aware he'd been holding.
I shouldn't have shut you out like I did.
He admitted.
I kept waiting for you to fix it so I didn't have to.
We both waited.
Noah said. Meanwhile, this thing, he patted the bridge gently.
Fell apart with everything else.
The rain eased even more. Their voices didn't have to fight so hard. They kept talking, not in speeches but in short, honest pieces. Little confessions hammered into place between the nails and knots.
I miss this.
Eli said at one point, barely louder than the river.
Not the drama, just building something with you.
Me too.
Noah replied.
I miss who we were before we decided being right mattered more than being friends.
They met finally near the center of the bridge, both kneeling over the same board, securing the last loose corner. The bridge, imperfect and patched, felt steadier than it had in years. When the final nail sank in and the last rope knot was pulled tight, they both sat back, breathing hard. The river still rushed beneath them, but the boards no longer trembled under every shift of weight. Noah stood and walked slowly back to his bank. Eli did the same on his side. They shared a look across the length of the newly mended bridge.
Test it?
Noah called. Eli nodded. They stepped onto the bridge at the same time, each from their own side. Their shoes thudded softly against mismatched boards, old dark wood beside fresh pale planks, scars beside new grain. The bridge creaked, but didn't give. Step by step, they moved toward the center, toward the exact spot where they'd shaken hands as kids and promised to always meet there. They stopped in front of each other. Up close, they both looked older than they felt in their memories of this place. Taller, more tired, a little embarrassed.
I'm sorry.
Eli said first, the words simple but heavy.
Not just for today, for all of it.
Noah's shoulders dropped, like he'd been carrying something much heavier than that box of sandbags.
I'm sorry too.
He replied.
For the hallway, for the posts, for not coming back sooner.
For a second, neither knew what to do with their hands. Then they both laughed, quietly, at the same time.
Without really planning to, they reached for the rail instead and stood side by side, looking down at the water that had watched the whole story unfold. After a moment, Eli took a step forward, crossing fully onto Noah's side of the river. Noah did the same, crossing onto Eli's side, the bridge now connecting two boys who no longer had to pretend the river or their history didn't exist. Time didn't turn everything into a perfect picture overnight. It rarely does. There were still awkward days at school, moments when old habits tugged at them, trying to pull them back toward pride. But something had changed on that rainy afternoon, and the town could see it without needing to know the details. People noticed that the old footbridge had been repaired, not by the city, not by a crew, but by two teenagers with mismatched planks and uneven knots. Kids began to cross it again, running from one side of the park to the other, completely unaware of what that bridge had survived. Sometimes Eli and Noah met there on purpose, leaning on the rail and talking about classes, about life, about nothing in particular. Sometimes they brought other friends, introducing them to their spot without explaining why it mattered so much. Every now and then, a board loosened or a rope frayed, but now, instead of ignoring it, they fixed it together. A few minutes with a hammer and some new cord, a small reminder that even strong bridges need care. One evening, as the sun slipped low and painted the sky in gold and orange, Eli arrived at the bridge alone. He walked to the center and rested his hands on the railing, watching the water carry branches and reflections downstream. He thought about how easy it had been to build walls, to let hurt turn into silence, and silence turn into distance. All it had cost him was a few harsh words and a lot of stubbornness. What it had given him was something else: loneliness. Long walks around the river, a broken bridge that only reminded him of what he'd lost. He knew now that walls always promise protection, but mostly they just keep you trapped on your side of the story. He heard footsteps behind him. Noah stepped up beside him, breathing a little heavier like he'd jogged to catch up.
Hey,
Noah said.
Hey.
Eli answered. They stood there in comfortable quiet, listening to the river. Eli realized that building this bridge back had been harder than kicking that first plank, harder than ignoring messages, harder than pretending he didn't care. But he also realized something else. A wall had never brought anyone closer. A wall had never carried him safely over the places he couldn't cross alone. This bridge, patched and imperfect as it was, had done both. In a world that teaches us to protect ourselves by building walls out of pride and anger, Eli discovered a different kind of strength. The strength it takes to admit you were hurt, to admit you were wrong, to take the first step towards someone you once walked away from. Anyone can build a wall. It takes just a few bricks of bitterness and a little cement made from stubbornness. But it takes courage to build a bridge, to reach out across the distance, plank by plank, and say, I don't want this river between us anymore. Eli learned that the path of forgiveness is not the easy way. It is simply the only way that leads you back to the people you were never meant to face life without. And every time he crossed that bridge, he was reminded of one quiet truth. You don't have to be the one who started the wall to be the one who starts the bridge. Moral: build bridges, not walls. Remember, walls keep people out, bridges bring people home. Every story leaves a lesson and leaves us with a choice. Be kinder, stronger, wiser. If today's story stayed with you, there's another waiting to inspire you. Subscribe to Motivating Morals, where every story leaves a lesson, and every lesson has the power to change a life. Until our next story, keep choosing wisdom.